Okay, we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to the second panel of this year's Indie Book Blitz. For New Year's, we have Arabella on. It is so nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you for having me on.
It is such a pleasure. I have to say that I discovered you because so many people nominated you to be on a featured live this year. So I had put up a post like last month and I was like, hey, who do you guys want me to ask to be on for features? Because the Blitz is panels, but we also do some features here and there. And I got so many between Facebook and Instagram for you. So it is such an
What?
honor to have you.
Wow, that's crazy. Aw.
Yeah, so thank you for agreeing to be on. And I see we have people watching now on Twitter and on YouTube. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you have questions for Arabella about writing about the books or anything, feel free to drop them in the comments and I'll pull them up on the screen. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of fantasy you write? Because you've got, oh, I just love your book covers so much and they are so intriguing.
Yeah. Well, I'm Arabella Federico. I write real genre bending type stuff. So my main series, which is the Mark of Creation Chronicles series, is sci-fi fantasy mashup. So this is the first one, the cover that she's talking about. Let's see. Oh, there's a glare, but yeah, they're very, very pretty. So they're really like a combo of sci-fi and fantasy, and there's also like urban fantasy in there, some dystopian, romance, of course. And so the first one, which is the Mark of Chaos and Creation, that one is more of like a slow burn with the romance, but the second one, it gets spicy. And then the third one, which is the one that I'm drafting right now, which will come out next fall, that one's going to be very spicy. We're just more adult, so it's like a nice gradual like incline of the spice. I guess I kind of pivoted there mid-series, you couldn't tell. But yeah, I just love to do things differently. If a lot of my friends and people who know me in real life and in the author community, I'm just I wouldn't say oddball, but like I like to be unique. I like to be special. I like to do things different. I don't like to do the same old that everybody else is doing. And so if a reader is out there and they're looking for something that is fresh and different, but really fits into the romantasy or fantasy genre of right now, these books would be perfect for you because they have the enemies to lovers, the love triangle, the found family, all those tropes that romantasy has or like the typical fae fantasy has, but like mine have more aliens that look like fae, but they are like hot aliens with magic, and it's a whole big crazy story. They're crazy. Like the books are crazy.
So how dark would you describe your books to be? Because when I first saw the cover, I was like, "Oh, this is sort of dark," and then I saw Hunger Games meet Sailor Moon in your
Yeah.
description, and I was
Yeah.
like,
No, they
"That is
do.
really interesting."
It is. Yeah. So it's funny. Like I didn't set out for it to be a Sailor Moon retelling. It just kind of fell into place. And I don't know. I am a Sailor Moon fan from back in the 90s. So somewhere in my subconscious, it just happened that way. It wasn't intentional, but it is dark. So especially the second one gets more darker. I think it's very like the vibes are dark rather than the content being dark, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The the end of the second one has like a soul crushing cliff
Yeah. Yeah.
at the end.
Oh, so we gotta have book 3, which is in the works.
Yes, it is. It's coming this fall. I'm drafting it right now. It's gonna be crazy too. That the book 3 really is much darker too. Like I just created like 3 quick mood boards, one for each of the books, and the third one just visually is darker than the other
Mm.
2 as well. So it really like, because the first one is technically categorized as young adult, it
Mhm.
mentions darker themes. It mentions things like abuse and child abuse and sexual assault. It hints at those. And, readers have responded really well to the way it was handled in the first one. And the second one, it's not really talked about as much, but in the third one, it kind of ties it all together. And those themes come out a lot more because the character is finishing her arc. She's completing the journey of the story, right? Since this is the last one. So those threads are going to be tied in there more, which is going to bring out more of that darkness and more of that serious topic. But because I sort of pivoted mid-series and kind of switched it from YA to more adult or new adult NA, I can kind of get deeper into that and how it really affects people psychologically. And my main character is a very morally gray character, and she's definitely got issues, and it stems from all of those harder topics, darker topics. So, yeah. So book 3 will definitely be more dark in vibes and in content. Book 2 is darker in more vibes. And yeah, book 1 is still pretty dark though in the vibes.
Yeah. And Janine's waiting for more books than 3 was going for book 4 and later.
I know there may be a number 4 of a prequel. And so if the people who have read the books, they know there is this story that is would make a very good prequel book. Like it really would. I just don't know. I don't know about doing it because of where the series is. Like if the series were to really take off, I would probably do it. It'd be like, fine, let's just do it. But I don't know if the series is amazing as it is and I love it so much, it's just not quite in the market.
Right.
So I don't know. Everyone who, like, not everyone, obviously, but a lot of people who read it really like it. And a lot of people go into it being like, it's not really my thing, but it's reviewed well. People say they like it, and then they read it and they love it. So I think more of the issue is just getting somebody to take a chance on it, and typically they like it. So if more people take a chance on something that's different, I think would help.
Yeah. Book 1 has 88 reviews on Amazon. It's a 4.6 rating, which is great. And I was actually going to ask you, it's interesting that you pulled that up, about when you do genre bending, it can be a real risk, especially going indie, with how you're going to go about finding and connecting with readers. And I have several authors who have asked me in the past, how do you navigate that? Like, is it worth the risk in your mind, as far as someone who's done it and is seeing success with it, seeing people read it, seeing people love it, versus maybe having just stuck with one genre and said it's okay if it doesn't have the other elements?
Tough. I mean, I feel like it has been a struggle. So initially I marketed it as kind of both, and it didn't do as well. So I really more market it as fantasy, and people just discover that it's a mashup on their own. Like when they see aliens, they're just like, what? It really throws people off. But like, they're hot aliens. They're not squiddy aliens. They're human looking and aliens, but it's not one of those alien romances either. So it's not one of those either. So it is very on its own island. Like it really is. I'd say like just I don't know, because like the people who would love my book are like the Sarah J. Maas, Fae loving girlies. Those are the ones who are my market audience. So I do my best to market to them, even though like outwardly I know they don't think it's what they want, but it is what they want. So I just shove it down their throats so much that they're like, fine, and then they like it.
Well, they obviously love it. You know, they're recommending you, like, bring her on, talking about your books. But as far as like your circle, it's a huge decision to go the indie route.
Totally.
What led you this route? Was it that genre mash, the creative control?
Partially. So initially I was going to go trad. And so I've had my platform, like my online platform, for a couple of years before the book was finished. And I was planning on doing trad. And then TikTok happened and I joined TikTok. And for whatever reason, I just felt like trad wasn't the way to go. Like, I don't know. And it sounds kind of interesting. Like I just really had a gut feeling that it just wasn't the way to go. Um Obviously the creative control was really important. And there's messages and themes in my book that are kind of like new age spiritualism too.
Mm,
So that was really important to me to be able to like get that across, because I feel like that core theme and message is why I write and why I do this in the first place. So if
mhm,
that were to be scrubbed out, I wouldn't have a purpose to write, you know? Like
yeah,
I always feel like with my books, I'm trying to tell the world something. I'm trying to like change the reader in some way, or to get them to open their eyes to something that they typically wouldn't have ever seen.
mhm, mhm.
And so if that gets taken away, like I just feel I don't I what am I doing? You know, it's
Yeah,
just I
yeah.
don't know. So it was that. And I don't like the pace of trad. I feel like it's so slow. It takes so long. I have to depend on all these other people. I have to depend on an agent to do what they got to do. Then I got to depend on the editor, and then I got to depend on the publisher. And I don't know. I don't know. Like my dad has owned his own business my entire life, and
Mm,
I'm a lot like him in that way of just having that kind of ability, I
yeah,
guess,
yeah.
of like, because it is a business, you know, self-publishing is definitely a business. And so it just felt wrong to go with trad, and so I pivoted like that, and I made the choice and I just ran with it.
That's awesome. So you have your father you mentioned has started his own business. You sort of got that instilled in you, that entrepreneurial spirit that I think a lot of times we as authors don't realize we're going to have to run into, whether you go trad or indie, is hey, there's marketing you're going to have to do even going trad these days.
Yeah.
Um, what kind of support did you get from family or friends? Do they know you write? Is this like your secret that you write, especially with the dark content?
No, it's definitely not a secret. My family has been incredibly supportive. My parents, especially financially, have been supportive because it's definitely a lot of money. I put a lot of money into it, more so than the average.
Mm,
My main developmental editor is one of Brandon Sanderson's editors, so I have a trad pub editor. She is very expensive, but so
mm,
worth it.
mhm,
Like, oh my gosh, learned so much from her. But like, that's a big
mhm.
expense, you know, like the covers are a lot. The audiobook was a lot. The second audiobook is going to be even more. So they helped a lot there. But like, my parents are great in the sense that like, I've always had crazy dreams and crazy like aspirations, and they've always just been like, yeah, go for it. Like do whatever you want. And like back in my early 20s, I modeled like pretty seriously for a while, and um I that was something that they really supported, but it just kind of came down to like I don't quite have the right body type to really do it, and it was just too much of an uphill climb. Like,
Mm,
yeah, so we were just like, no. And then I went to beauty school after that, and I did really well. I got licensed as a cosmetologist, and I worked with makeup and did makeup professionally for like 6 7 years. And then
wow.
and behind that I was like slowly learning how to write, learning the craft of writing over the years, just slowly trying to get this book done. And all my friends are like, is your book done yet? And I was like, soon. And I said that for years. I was like, yeah, it's almost done. No, it took me years because I rewrote the thing 3 freaking times. And so once COVID happened, I got laid off, and I was like, no,
Mm,
this is it. Like, this is the time. I'm not going back to makeup. I'm not doing it. And I didn't. So that's
wow.
kind of how I finally took the dive.
You whip the book out and you're like, it does exist.
Yes. I'm like, here it is, finally, jeez.
Now, every single one of you better buy at least 10 copies.
Yeah, and my friends have been great. Like the release of the first one was really magical. I didn't have like a in-person party or anything anything like that, but a lot of my friends bought it and stuff, and yeah, it was great. And my family doesn't read it though. I think my sister-in-law read the first one. She liked it. But I'd rather them not read it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like my dad wanted the audiobook, so I gave him the audiobook of the first one. I still don't think he's listened to it.
And you're almost like half relieved, but also like half disappointed.
Yeah. Well, and especially, and I told him like the second one has sex in it, and he was just like, "What?" I was like, probably not for you to be reading. Ew, weird. So yeah.
Oh goodness. So you mentioned modeling, and that makes me wonder, as stylish as you are, and your modeling past, and your makeup ability, do you do book talking?
Like videos and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's my biggest account over there. I have like 30,000 followers over there.
I need to TikTok now.
No, it's so much fun. But it's been I haven't done too many lately. Like I haven't really, I don't know. I've kind of been like, I wouldn't say in a funk with making videos, but I just haven't felt inspired to make videos lately. But I did start a TikTok shop to sell my books and I've been making book merch. So I've been making like sweaters and shirts and stuff. So I've been doing all of that to try to kind of get that going. So I got to get back into that at some point. I don't know. I'm just like focused on trying to like finish this third book and decide where I want to go from there, like decide what my next series is going to be. I think I know what it's going to be. It's just going to be crazy. So, I don't know. My mind's kind of going in a lot of different places, but yes, to answer your question, I do.
So Arabella's got a TikTok for everybody who's watching. I've got your other links in the description box. I'll have to find the TikTok one and drop it for people too. And if you want to read the books, that link is definitely in the description box. But so you've got a lot of stuff going on, the writing book 3, and then marketing and the book talking, just everything else that goes into it. Excuse me. If you had to give your younger self advice to prep for this journey that you're on now, what would it be?
Ugh, that's such a good question. I would say that not to expect it all to come at once. I think like I don't know, like I sort of expected like because everything I do like 1,000%. Like I really am just one of those type of people. Like I really go for it. And ultimately, if I decide to do something, like in my opinion, I feel like I do it well, or at least like the very best of my ability. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be the best, but I think it's like decent, So like I thought like when I would release the first one, it would just like explode and be like super popular, and that's not what happened, but it did have like a nice steady climb that continues to climb, and like for some reason that really irks me. It's stupid. I don't know why. Like I just it was my own expectations that kind of like broke my own heart. Like it's dumb, but like if I could tell my younger self like it's really fine, like it doesn't have to all happen on release day or release week, like it builds over time, and that's still totally great. Like it's still fine, like it's not all dependent on 1 week or one book or one series, even that it really is more of a long game, and little things add up, like doing like the TikTok shop and the merch and that kind of stuff. Like it all like adds together, and then you're getting multiple things. Even the audiobook was one of those things that is another like stream of income. It's just like you have to kind of create really a business and a brand, and it doesn't all happen at once. Like it really doesn't. For some people it does, and that's the hard part. It's like like I see with authors, like their book releases and it's just massive. And I that didn't happen for me.
Yeah.
It just didn't. You know, I've had success, but it wasn't like bam, just wasn't. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I love that we're seeing that trend on here lately of authors who've come on and just been so open and transparent, like you, about all the success you've had. So many indie authors might see your books and go, oh, they've got so many reviews, and how am I ever going to get there? And just hearing, this is something we all go through. We had Rachel on earlier today, and Rachel's book was on the New York Times Square. And
so cool.
Rachel was just like, she said something, and I wish I'd written it down, but basically something to the effect of feeling like that can't be real. Like I always feel like I'm lying to myself, and still feeling the imposter syndrome.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think no matter how far, it's like we keep pushing that goal back. So it's normal. If there's any writers who are watching, it is normal.
Yeah.
We can't all be Colleen Hoovers and lightning strike success.
Right?
Oh, but going back to Sailor Moon for a second, if you had to pick which magical girl was most like your main character, who would it be?
Ooh. Tough call. Definitely not Serena or Usagi. That my main character name is Kara. That she is not like her at all. She's not like the main Sailor Moon girl, not even close. I'd say she's mostly like Ray, Sailor Mars.
Mm-hmm.
That would fit because Kara has like an attitude. She's like very she's very impulsive and selfish, but she also is very loyal and wants to protect those that she loves. And so she does have really good qualities and not so good qualities. And she really just wants to be loved. Like that's really the heart. Like she just wants a family and to be loved because she's an orphan, which is, I know, a little cliche, but that's what I did.
But you can
And
do the show
yeah,
as
so
well.
definitely
That's
Sailor
fine.
Mars, like she's got that edge, I'd say.
Yeah,
That
I love
fire.
that. Love that. I love a good, fiery, passionate main character.
Me too.
Yes. And another is about the romance. So, how
Mm.
much romance do you think a reader should be looking for if they're going to pick up your books? Because you said book one, is sort of scaling. Book two, they start the romance. Book three is going to be the most.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So the romance is definitely, again, the romance itself is not typical. So in the first one, we get introduced to like two enemies ish. And so she kind of has like a little love triangle thing going on with them. She's not sure. She kind of picks one and then that evolves, and there's tension, but there's no spice in the first one. And then in the second one, the triangle and the spice and the romance really just hitches up to like let's say if it's at 20% in the first book, it's at like 70% in the second one, and we get the full descriptive spice. We get everything that we want, but then there's like the love triangle there, and the tension between the other character that isn't getting the spice is really intense, and it's great. I love the dynamic of it. And then the ending not only throws the entire plot and everything on its head, but it throws the romance on its head too. And you're just gonna have to read to know what happens, and it's crazy. And so the third one it flips it even more because one of the love interests that's the main love interest is kind of not, and then someone else comes in. So it's really an
wow.
evolving story of like real life, I feel like. And like, like if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody where like it's good but it's not a perfect fit, like that puzzle piece, you have to like pound it in a place to get it to fit, but it still won't go flat. That's kind of how like one of those relationships is for her. It's not who she needs. It's not her person. And so I did that because that's just real life. It's not like he does anything bad to her or vice versa. It's just they don't fit. anymore because of what happens externally. Like they're too changed when they come back together.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of spice in the third one.
Yes. So romance readers who are looking for the spice, you have time to catch up in 1 and 2 before book 3 comes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So last question is really, this year during the Blitz, we're focusing on indie communities, indie authors, indie books we've read, we've loved. What is one of the biggest ways you feel like either being indie or the indie community has shaped your writing and reading?
That's a good question. I definitely read more indie than I ever, did before. And I think like just I think indies still have like that stigma on us of like it's not good, right? But like there are so many like good stories out there by indies, and I'm finding trad books like don't compare. I don't know, like they're just because indies can really just cross the line of trad, like it really go there, and like there's authors like me out there who, because I'm indie, I can write just an absolute insane story and go there, because there's so many trad books that I'm like, oh, if you could have just taken it further, this would have been so much more compelling. It would have been so much just not, maybe I hate saying better, but like the indie community and being indie and being at that, like you get that freedom to just be able to just go to places that trad can't. I just think that publishers just don't let authors really explore human nature in a more visceral way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I think that a lot of my own opinions about who and what an indie author is has definitely changed, and I think that's amazing. And the more success we can give other indies, the more we all get, right? The more like Carissa Broadbents and Raven Kennedy's get picked up by trad, they're kind of out of the indie sphere at that point. So more people can rise up, and then they'll get plucked, and then more can come behind them, and more and more trad readers will start picking up indie books because they're like, oh, that was an indie book. Wow, that was so good. Maybe this other indie book will be good. And it just kind of goes and explodes. And then that like stigma of like unedited crappy indie books kind of falls away, which we all hope for that. But I think with AI doing that and people coming in with AI written books, that's going to throw a wrench into it too, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm not sure if that quite answered your question.
Yeah. I think really it's very true that the rising tide lifts all the boats. This is now my 3rd year doing the blitzes, and what I really love is seeing so many readers come together to find new indie authors, because the panels are by genre, and it's like I can only put out a book every so often, and same for you. But if I'm on a panel with 5 other people, here's 4 other authors you can be reading, and then it opens those doors of, oh, there are these quality books, there are these quality indie authors that I didn't know existed. And it's so comforting to know that it's almost like that found family feeling, more than, oh, I've got to compete against all these people.
Very much so, yeah. And that's another great thing about it too, is I have like so many like friends. Like I'm going to an event in Seattle this upcoming October, and there are so many people that I know that are going to be there. Like I can't even count them all. Like, and they're all like really good friends that I've met through this. And it's just like crazy. It's crazy. Like it really is. And I love that. And on my side, I found, I haven't been or seen the toxicity that I know exists in it. Like I know that it does, but I've been really lucky, like knock on wood, that the people that have been in my corner have been really great and really supportive. And I hope I can be that for them too.
That is so sweet. Well, thank you for being open, for being transparent, for being here with us and kicking off the Blitz for us. Thank you to everybody who nominated
Yeah.
Arabella to come on. And I think it ended up being close to 16 votes. So thank you to the people who brought Arabella on. We'll leave the replay up. So if you're watching and maybe you're one of those people and you're like, shoot, I missed the live and I had questions, please leave them in the comments. I will make sure that they get to Arabella and we'll try to get you answers. We did have one more in the comments that I wanted to ask. Someone new to your book says, do you have any dragons in your books? You got aliens and magic, so.
Actually, yeah, book 3 is gonna have dragons.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited. And like you wouldn't think they would fit, but no, they're gonna fit perfectly. And I'm so excited for the dragons. Go onto my Instagram and go look at those mood boards I talked about. And there's a little like dragon scale in like one of the corners or something. So
Yeah.
yes, I'm so excited for it.
Oh, yay. So there you go. And we do have a dragon fantasy panel to the person who asked in the chat this weekend. So if you're looking for dragon books, tune in there. And John asked, what music do you like?
Ooh, I like kind of like off the wall stuff because I feel like music really like influences my vibe, and I really try to stay at like a high vibration. So a lot of the music that I enjoy is very like depressing. So I listen to a lot of like Tommy Prophet. I don't he does
Yes.
like yeah, he's really cool. Flurry, I think I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but like Ruel, I really like her. Real like I just find like I call it like my book music, like my book inspo music. Dermot Kennedy, I really like. He's not in the book music, but he's like I wouldn't even say if he's pop or what he is. His voice is just amazing. He's love songs type of things, like heartbreak. And you know, as cheesy as it is, I do really love Taylor Swift. I really love her as a person and as an artist. I think her storytelling and her writing is just phenomenal. Like she really is super talented, and I love that.
Yeah, it's all right. My cat's like, please feed me. We're going to do another question and I'm going to hop off and feed the cats, I guess. But Janine says, I really loved your futuristic fantasy world. What inspired you to make it all cyberpunk like?
Oh, and I know her from Instagram. So hello. I I just like the vibe, I guess. Like it is a very like cyberpunky aesthetic. Like the world is very much like that. And I just felt like that's how I wanted to do it with the aliens and the tech and the magic. And it is a really unique way to do it. I always like wondered had I had put it in like a medieval time frame and like a different type of city, if that would have made a bigger difference in who picks the book up, which I think it would have. A good comp title for it is Crescent City by S.J. Maas, so that's kind of what it's like, but more cyberpunky. And I really don't have a direct inspiration for it. I really just wanted it to be in a city, and I felt like visually I wanted it to be like, I wanted like the lights and the rainbows in this like interesting place. And to me, with aliens, they seem more futuristic and like with technology. So I was like, well, let's just bring that in and have this all this crazy technology, which the book does have, and it's just weird stuff. Like, yeah, so I don't really have a direct inspo for it other than I just felt it would fit. And it I don't know.
Yeah. So if you're
Silly.
wondering if that piqued your interest and you're watching, go to the link in the description box, grab a copy of book 1 and 2. They're already out, and there's a novella that I saw on Amazon too. And I was like, yay!
Yeah, that one is completely unrelated. It's a super quick, spooky read. It's about this 14th century witch who gets sent to Poveglia Island, which is a real island that exists off the coast of Italy, where they sent people who got infected with the Black Plague, the Black Death.
Wow.
They sent them there to die. That's where those long-nosed plague masks come from, is from that. And so she's a witch and she gets sent over to that island, not because she's sick, but because she's a witch. And
Mm.
she realizes there's a dark presence on the island that's doing things to the people that are dying and to the souls of the dying. And so, yeah, it's spooky. I released it for Halloween. You can read it in like 45 minutes. And it's
Yeah.
like $1. But yeah, it's definitely a spooky read, but it has a really, really nice message to it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now I want to go read that one. Like she said, I always pick up something new. Yes. If you're looking for new books, this weekend is the weekend to do it. My TBR list is already crying. It will be dead by the end of the weekend, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But thank you again for joining us, Arabella. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on.
Of course. Thank you for having me, and to all those people who voted me on, or however that worked. Thank you. I'm so honored, and yeah, happy to be here and happy to chat with you.
Yes, it was such a pleasure meeting you. The replay, as I said, for people who tuned in late, will be staying up. And if you're watching and you're looking for more indie authors, you're looking for more indie books, this is the weekend to subscribe to the channel, because there are over 15 panels, over 100 different indie authors will be on this weekend, chatting about books and everything, and it will all be live like this. We're not doing anything pre-recorded, so you can bring your questions and chat with us, and it's going to be a good time. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care.
Bye.